Happy Wednesday, everyone. This is Jean here from Authentic Energy, and we are live. So every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm here live to hang out with you guys and, of course, to discuss a topic that is important and relevant to you guys, hopefully. Okay, let me know where you guys tuning in from and just drop it in the comments if you're watching live or if you're watching replay. Okay, so it's really fun to, be here live, right? You can also take this opportunity to ask me anything that you want, right? Any questions about Herbalife nutrition or healthy lifestyle, body confidence, body wellness, women's wellness, right? So let me know. Those of you who are watching live, I can see there's quite a few of you guys tuning in. Just let me know where you're tuning in from. And those of you who are watching replay, just drop replay in a comment. So today we're talking about procrastination. Yes, dun 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 dun. Right? A lot of you guys have actually talked to me about, procrastinating certain things in your life, whether if it's like a healthy routine, whether if it's like a certain practice, or even building your business, or some of you guys who are already, like coaches, or you're doing like Herbalife business or like some other business of yours, but there's certain things that you're procrastinating, right? So like I want to take this opportunity to share with you guys what I think about procrastination and what I personally practice, and also what I have learned from my mentors what to do when it comes to procrastination. Okay, so feel free to take notes or just like share in a comment what your thoughts are and also what your experiences with procrastination is. Okay, and let me know in the comment if you like my new camera. Okay, it's a lot clearer, right? It's more high definition when you see me live here with better quality of camera, right? Okay, so here's what I think about procrastination, right? You are procrastinating, you're delaying doing something. It's mainly because something is not aligned. Okay, so deep down inside of you, let's say, actually, most likely subconsciously, you don't want to do this thing. Okay, subconsciously, you don't believe that this thing you have to do is aligned with your energy, your vision, your needs and wants. Right. But of course, consciously, we don't think that, right? Consciously, we always tell ourselves, I have to do it, I have to do it. Right. But somehow you just never get to it. You just find all sorts of like things to do, like whether if it's you're scrolling on your phone or watching Netflix or cleaning, right? That's a very typical thing. Let me know in the comments if you're one of those that like to keep cleaning your house when you actually have something important that you need to do, but you never get to it. You always find something to clean. Like, okay, I gotta do this first. I gotta like will scrub my toilet first. I gotta wash my dishes first. Those are more important somehow than getting to that important task. Okay, let me know if you've been there. I've been there, right? So somehow you'll find all sorts of tasks and activities to do to basically prolong, delay that task that you have to do. Okay, so from my experience, what I have realized, that kind of behavior basically is already a signal telling yourself that, deep down, subconsciously, this thing, is not significant. It's not important. That is the truth, right? Because you don't think it's actually important. So you don't really have the urge to do it. Okay. But a lot of times, like, while having said that, I don't want anyone to like blame themselves, right? Because if something is not aligned, right? If something that's not truly what you believe, then, your subconscious is already acting on it by actually holding you back, right? Going, don't do this, don't do this. Okay, so this is the first thing that I would like to, I share with everyone, right? And when you find that there is something that you've been procrastinating for a while, whether if it's like weeks or months or years, then you should actually have an honest conversation with yourself, right? And just ask yourself, is this still important to me, right? Like, is it aligned with my beliefs, my vision, my energy? Right. Let's say if there is a business idea that you have, right, and you've been wanting to do it for a while, but you never actually taken any actions. You've never done anything about it. But, like weeks or months down the road, you're still saying that, oh, I've been thinking about starting this business. Okay. I've been meaning to do this, to get my business started, but I haven't really done it yet because other things get in the way, or there are other distractions, right? So this is where you have to really honestly ask yourself, do I still want to start this business? Is this business idea still something I want to do, right? Is it aligned with my values, my energies, right? So this is one of the most important things that I have learned in my experience. Okay, in the past I've procrastinated a lot of things, and then it turned out that I was actually resisting it. I was actually resisting doing it because it didn't really align with my values. Okay, so this is the first thing I want to share with you. And the second thing, this is something I learned from Mel Robbins. A lot of you guys probably already know Mel Robbins, right? She's actually one of my favorite female motivation coaches. You can look her up. So I've learned from her that procrastination is actually, of course, it's a habit, it's a behavior, but also procrastination is actually a form of stress release. Okay, so basically, if you look at procrastination, right, aside from this being a behavior, but it's actually a habit. We have been, training ourselves to have the habit to procrastinate. Okay, so let me know in the comment if you haven't heard about this concept before, if you're just hearing about this for the first time. Yes, I learned this from Mel Robbins. So what we have to do is actually to break that pattern, right? So if there's a behavior, if there's a habit that is actually not helping us get the results, not helping us move forward in life, then what do? We have to change that habit, right? We firstly have to break that pattern, break that habit first. Okay, so those of you who just tuning now, I was just saying that I learned from Mel Robbins that procrastination is a form of stress relief. A release, okay, stress release. So basically what happens is when there's stress, in your system, in your energy body, and on your mind, you obviously will want to find a coping mechanism, right, to cope with that stress. So a lot of times, when we procrastinate, like, it's basically a way of avoiding it, right? Avoiding the stress, don't want to deal with it. So we'll find, all sorts of activities to be engaged in, aside from actually, doing that thing that we have to do, right? So what we have to do is basically, there are how many steps? I think there are 4 steps here. I've actually got them written down. Okay. So there are 4 steps to actually break this pattern. Okay. Break this habit and get yourself really stop procrastinating right away. Right. It's actually quite simple, but of course, it really depends on how you break it. Right. Just that moment when you decide to really break the procrastination, break the habit, it's really about your how should I say it? How you are breaking it energetically, right? You can try to do this with me right now, or you can do it after the video and let me know in the comment, right? How you doing, right? And of course, you can share with me what is it that you're procrastinating right now. Everybody's procrastinating something, right? I have a ton of things that I'm actually procrastinating myself as well, right? No one's perfect here. So firstly, as we said that, the trigger for procrastination here is stress. Okay, so stress can come in all sorts of forms. Sometimes we don't even know that we're under stress. Okay, stress is not something that you feel physically all the time. Okay, if you're feeling stress physically, that means it's already too much, right? But stress can be very subtle a lot of times, right? So stress can manifest in all sorts of, like, behaviors that you have without you knowing that you're actually under a lot of stress. So what you do is, firstly, you want to identify the stress. Okay, right. So if you're procrastinating something, can you guys see that? Yeah, camera zooming in. Firstly, the first step is identify the stress. If, say, let's use the example of what I just mentioned, starting a business, right? You're procrastinating it. And aside from what I mentioned, that maybe something's not aligned with you anymore. And then you can think about what other stresses related to just the whole action or the whole idea of starting a business. Okay, maybe the fear of failure is stressing you out. Okay, maybe like having to build a whole system, building a shop front, or for example, what else, finding customers, having to build a team, for example. All these things can really stress you out. And of course, if we, take another step further, these things you haven't even done yet and they're already stressing you out, right? So I'm just using this, starting business as a example. There can be a lot of other things, right? Just let me know in the comments, if you want me to help you analyze what are the other stresses that are possible with the situation you're going through right now, right? Or you can DM me, if you don't want to share here, right? Or something like, if you have to complete, I'll give you a true example, right? Like I was procrastinating doing my tax, right? Okay, of course, like I had to, I had my deadline, but then I kept pushing it, and finding other things to do that were more important than completing my, my tax filing, right? And then so I was actually under stress because the stress with, doing my tax filing was that, I was probably a bit scared and afraid to see the numbers, right? And I was a bit scared to face, the truth of, okay, how did I do this year? How did I do last year? Comparing this year and last year. Right. So all this like fear and, the anxiety of seeing, finance and numbers, right? That really stressed me out. So as a result, I was procrastinating, actually crunching the numbers and getting my hands dirty in the numbers. So I think I pushed it back. I procrastinated doing my tax for quite a few weeks until my accountant was like, hey, we got the deadline coming up. Okay, so that's the first thing. Identify your stress, right? And then what do? The next thing that you do is breathe. Okay, so take a quick pause, take a deep breath in, and breathe out, and then count backwards. Five, four, three, two, one. So the method of doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, this Mel Robbins method, is that it snaps you out of that, I don't want to do it. It snaps you out of it, right? So you'd be like, okay, this is a quick transition moment. So from my experience of practicing with a method, I realized that when you take a deep breath in, that already stops you thinking too much, or okay, stops you from thinking too much about the fears and anxiety. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's a countdown. It's kind of like launching a rocket or doing something that you count down, like, okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, lift. Okay. And 3, 2, 1, getting to it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is like a quick transition that snaps you out of it. Okay. And then what do you do next? After you count down, you interrupt everything. You interrupt, the situation, and you interrupt the habit, the pattern, right? If we don't do anything after 3, 2, 1, you might fall back into like, no, another day, I'll do it later, tomorrow or next week. But once you interrupt something, you'll start to take a different action. Okay, so how do we interrupt? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you stand up or you shake. Okay, I'm a body confidence coach, so I like to use physical interruption. Okay, physical and mental together. You shake your body, you do some funky movements that gets you out of your sitting. If you're sitting down or driving a car, okay, stop the car, right? Start shaking, start standing, and tell yourself that I'm not a procrastinator. I'm not a procrastinator. I'm going to do this now. Okay. So after you shake it out and mentally tell yourself that, I'm not a procrastinator, then the last step is you do one thing. You go and do one thing right away after you interrupt the pattern. You go and do one thing right away that is related to that thing you have to do. Okay, for example, if I use my example of doing my tax filing, right? Then I right away, go and open up my spreadsheet, okay? And then I start, looking at the numbers. But that one thing, I don't want anyone to overthink. Just go in and do it, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be, kind of messy, kind of crappy, but don't judge yourself. Just start it. Because once you start doing something, it will kick the momentum. It will get the momentum going. It will kick the ball off. Right. Just like, when I was procrastinating my tax filing, I did that one thing. I opened up my spreadsheet. I was like, all right, okay, let me start doing this and that. I didn't have a system. I was not very organized in terms of like, trying to organize my I manage my numbers, but I started somewhere, right? And once I started somewhere very messily for about 5, 10 minutes, I realized, hey, you know what? I'm gonna have a system so I can be fast and efficient at doing this. And then it just got the whole momentum going, and I got the whole thing done in half a day, which was like already something that was on my mind, stressing me out. Like, oh my God, it's gonna take me a few days to get my tax numbers done and all that. But once I got the momentum going, I was unstoppable. unstoppable and I got that thing done. Okay, so these are the four steps that you can actually try today to help you stop your procrastination right away. So it's something I learned from Mel Robbins. Firstly, identify your stress because procrastination is a form of stress release, as we mentioned before. And then you can stop, okay, and breathe and count five, four, three, two, one. Count backwards, transition yourself out of that kind of like, lazy energy, and then interrupt yourself, do a dance, stand up, get yourself in some kind of weird, sharp physical movement and mentally tell yourself that I am not a procrastinator. I'm not a procrastinator. Okay, that's all, because a lot of times, we are becoming our language, we're becoming our words. The more we're saying that, oh, I always procrastinate this, the more you become a procrastinator. But the moment you snap yourself out of it and tell yourself that I'm not a procrastinator, something changes. Something changes in your energy. And then you go and do one thing. Quickly go utilize that moment when the opportunity portal was open, your energy is different. Quickly go and do one thing, okay, whether if it's starting your business or calling your clients or eating healthy, preparing healthy meals or something like that, right? Go do one thing and don't judge yourself. It can be very messy, can be very imperfect, but just go do it. Okay, because in the process of taking the action, you will find your way of fine tuning things. You start to feel the joy, right? And if something that you want to do, this thing that you've been procrastinating is not aligned with you, not aligned with your visions and your energy, you will truly know it when you actually start to take the action. Trust me on this, right? If it's like, back to our example of starting a business, right? Before you do it, sometimes maybe you already know you have the answer, but sometimes you don't know. So why don't we just take the action? Do that one thing, start, basically getting all the things that you have already prepared and start your shop or, start, building your clientele, for example, start talking to people, right? And then in the process of doing it, you might realize that, hey, I really do enjoy doing this. Why did I procrastinate? Right? Or maybe in the process of doing it, you realize that it's not really what I want. Oh, I hate it. Okay. So I've been there, many times that, during different, business building, I was always very resisting, but I pushed myself along anyway. And then at the end of the day, I realized that it was not what I wanted to build. Right. So, anyway, so this is what I want to share with everyone about procrastination today. I hope everybody learned something. And if you have, something that you want to share, like, if you're procrastinating something right now, let me know in the comments. Don't be shy. You can use the chat. Okay. And you can use the chat to ask me something that, you're curious about, right? You can ask me anything here in the chat as well. Okay. So let me know in the comments where you're tuning from, whether if you're watching live or replay. And, if you're struggling with any procrastination right now, remember to follow the four steps I just shared with you guys here today that I learned from Mel Robbins, and let me know how it goes. And one bonus step that you can do, I found that helps really, really well with the whole process, is that while you decide to take an action to do one thing only, find an accountability buddy. Find some form of accountability, whether if it's your family member or a friend or a neighbor or someone, right? And share with them what you're doing. Tell them what you're doing and let them be accountable. Let them hold you accountable. Okay. So that you are not, slipping away or cutting yourself slack again. Right. So having accountability, I've often found that is one of the most effective ways to get you to your results and that destination you want to get to, right? And it's very important for anything, okay, whether if it's health building or finance building or a lot of other things that you're working on right now. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna leave you guys to this. I'm gonna leave you guys to having a good day, good evening, good afternoon. And of course, if you would like to work with me, you can actually enroll into my body confidence mastery program. Okay, and those of you who are like Herbalife Herbalifers and you do need some coaching, you can join my Herbalife, my nutrition club. Okay, that's where you can get guidance. Okay, you can find all the details in the description. And yeah, click on the link. And if you have any questions about how to work with me and details about my program, you can basically email me or DM me on my Instagram at Authentic Energy. All right, guys, it's so great to see a lot of you guys here. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday, live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.